It was perfect before, Howard. Go ahead.
That question, what's a good Rotarian? I suggest this question has a second part. Can a person be a good Rotarian in a struggling, broken Rotary club? Do good Rotarians and good clubs go hand in hand? I travel around and I visit many Rotary clubs, and I often hear somebody described as a good Rotarian. They describe a person who has 100% attendance as a good Rotarian, or a person that donates to the club's fundraising activities as a good Rotarian, someone that champions a particular project as a good Rotarian. I suggest a good Rotarian is an engaged Rotarian, not in one part of the club, not in one activity, but balanced and active in a variety of club pursuits, and even working in Rotary beyond the club. You know, we don't want Rotary clubs that are like a bowl of oatmeal porridge that sits there soggy and wet. We want Rotary clubs that are like Rice Krispies, that snap, crackle, and pop. That's what the type of Rotary club we want. You know, a Rotary club is not a museum of good deeds. A Rotary club isn't a club that talks about the service project they did 10 years ago. The history of the club's important, but what is important is the service we do today and the service we do tomorrow. It's probably quite appropriate, since there's a new Star Wars movie coming out, to let me quote Yoda. In the Star Wars sequel, The Empire Strikes Back, Yoda, the Jedi teacher, tries to implant into Luke Skywalker the means of engaging the Force. That is the greatest power in the universe. Luke replies that he will try. Yoda says, there is no try, there is either do or not do. The same is with Rotary membership. Your club will either grow or it won't grow. I propose that there are three essential steps required to be a good Rotarian, and probably the same three steps are a good Rotary club. And probably, I'm not sure, but a good Interact club, a good Rotaract club, and the other parts of the Rotary family. The first essential step is friendship. It is one of the key reasons Paul Harris started Rotary. A good Rotarians club is an important part of their social network. The club ensures the opportunities for social events. That's the club's responsibility for the member and their families, and I'll repeat that, for the member and their families. Lots of opportunities for social contact, social activities. That's the friendship. Friendship is the key ingredient that holds Rotary together. Part of friendship is regular attendance at club meetings. It does not have to be 100%, but you have to be active and engaged with your club members. You have to be part of that friendship. A good Rotary club needs their members to be involved and active with the club. The second step, I suggest, is an assignment. A good Rotarian is involved in their club, serves in a variety of ways. A good Rotary club ensures opportunities for every member to be active. That is in committee work and opportunities for hands-on service projects. We want to get our hands dirty. We want to do work. We want to do active work. That's the opportunities that Rotary clubs need to give their members. The third step that I suggest is required to be a good Rotarian and a good Rotary club is nourishment. A good club educates their members about Rotary. The club ensures opportunities for leadership positions, encourages attendance at conferences, seminars, events, and Rotary events outside of the club. A good Rotarian takes advantage of the training opportunities, attends conferences, assemblies, Rotary Leadership Institute. Brianne referred earlier to a debate in Rotary.
Okay, so tune in next week for part 2 of what is a good Rotarian. I think, can you hear me? Oh, okay. I think this video is something that we could use for new Rotarians coming in as a part of the package that we present to them. This video could be shown, you know, as a segue into the Rotary.
Can you send me? Can you send me the link? Can you send me the link for
I can
that,
send you the
Howard?
video.
Because
Sure.
it's really good to have on my new member kit.
Yes, exactly. All right, Leslie, over to you.
I would like
All
the
right,
link too.
so as you know, November is
Thank you,
foundation,
Sarge.
and I would like to hand over to Dawn to just talk to us about where we are at, where our target is, and what we need to do. So Dawn, thank you so much for being our director of foundation, and I know you're so experienced and awesome, so go ahead.
Okay. I'm unmuted.
Yes,
Share
you're
screen. Share screen. Desktop. Share screen.
And Dawn, before you begin, I just want to let us know that in Haiti, I would like for us to receive some awards. I think we deserve awards based on our experience and how long I've all been in Rotary. Dawn, continue.
Okay. First off, can everybody see my screen? It should say donor recognition. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Secondly, I can show us some of the reporting we've got for foundation as I talk about what we're doing and where we are. Does anybody have an objection if other folks kind of see their recognition level or stuff like that? Okay. That's what I figured. So I'll keep it kind of general, and then I'll take off share screen at one point, and I can just say verbally the global aspect of things. Some clubs actually don't mind if everybody puts things up, and some clubs do mind, and I figured I'd ask you before I assumed one way or the other. So I think we've all been Rotarians. Everyone who's attending today has been Rotarian long enough to kind of get what the foundation basically is. I wanted to go over a little bit the different recognitions that we can get based off of Rotary.org itself, so that you'd know what to look for if you forget me telling you and want to go look it up. And then I'll show you a couple of, I'll be popping in and out of share screen to make sure I get the right tab and show you kind of where we are as a club in agglomerate. For the foundation, we all basically know what it is. It's how Rotary collects funds from members and from other supporting parties, and invests funds collected for 3 years to generate some of the operating revenue needed to make the whole process work, and then splits it out half to, depending on the program, either to Polio Plus or half to our district for district block grants and half to the World Fund for the global grants and all the other stuff that it does. And there's some recognition programs to encourage Rotarians and to be the basis of end-of-year awards for clubs who give. Because Rotary, as our last video showed, is about doing, not talking, and this is the structure that Rotary has itself to try and get done what it wants to get done. So to go over the donor recognition categories very quickly, for individual recognitions, if you give 100 or more per year to the annual fund, you become a Rotary Foundation sustaining member, and that's the plan on which every 10 years you jump up one in the Paul Harris Fellow rankings, even if you don't do anything else but send in $100 per year. Now there's a couple of things where donating to matching grants to a specific project will count towards certain categories like Paul Harris, but it doesn't necessarily count to things like Rotary Foundation sustaining member. There are things for which annual fund and matching grants are counted differently, and there are things for which they're counted together. If you want to just give money when you no longer know where it goes and it doesn't, you don't feel it anymore, you can be a benefactor. You can put 1,000 in your will, in your estate plans, and inform Rotary International, and they give you that certification. If you put in 25,000 or more, there's some other recognitions. That's not going to help Leslie in her year, and most of us, it's important because life goes on. We're already a 101-year-old foundation, but that is an option. Paul Harris Fellow is what everybody talks about when you give 1,000 or more to the annual fund, Polio Plus, or an approved foundation grant. So when Homeopaths Without Borders or the project for girls that Leslie wants us to do that we're trying to get done, when they're up and running and we make our donations to support our part of that, that's eligible for Paul Harris Fellow. Also remember that as you give funds that count for Paul Harris Fellow, for every dollar you accumulate a point. As a club, if we want, the foundation gives us the option of collecting from the members 1,000 points and donating a Paul Harris Fellow recognition to a member of the club for recognition of good service, to someone who's not even a Rotarian. You've already paid for it, way of encouraging them to stay connected with our club, and that may be something we want to look at some point in just the things that we're doing, or people we're trying to encourage to help us out in the various fundraisers we're going to do in the various places that we're doing them. Paul Harris Society members, when you elect to contribute 1,000 or more annually to the annual fund or Polio Plus or an approved foundation grant, when you reach giving $1,000 a year, we might have a couple of members of that in our club. I won't say who, but at some point it becomes doable, and the district recognizes such people. The Quest Society is, again, people who have Rotary marked in their estate, and it depends on how much that you put in the will and document to Rotary that you do. Major donors, when your cumulative donations reach 10,000, and we have a couple, I think we have a member or two who's getting close, you can get a crystal recognition piece and a major donor lapel pin or pendant, and they recognize you at the district conference and above. But the club has to recognize that when somebody gets there. So when we see that we've got a member that's gone over 10,000, we as a club need to tweak Rotary International and say, hey, this person is deserving of recognition. And I know that the district places some emphasis on this. So that's one thing for us to keep an eye on this year, because we've got a couple people who might qualify this year or next. Arch Clump, none of us are close to that yet. Rotary puts out a banner report, which is what Diana and I follow when she does the treasury bid and sends in the funds that you donate through the club link. She can see that report. The president and the treasurer can see that report, and then the foundation chair, which is me, can see this report. Everybody else, if you try and click on the link in Rotary Club Central, or at the Rotary Foundation website, it's not going to come up for you. And that'll show you for which clubs in which all dues-paying members are Paul Harris Fellows. Technically, you can go kind of in and out of that if you get a new member and they haven't started donating. Of course, that person's not a Paul Harris Fellow yet. Some clubs will take their cumulative points and donate to kind of keep this status, but they say it's a one-time recognition because they understand that in the Rotary Foundation that good clubs, like we just heard, recruit new members, and new members need some time to get up to a Paul Harris Fellow level. So they don't make clubs pop in and out of that status like popcorn, because they want to encourage people to bring in new members and get the new members on the path to a Paul Harris. A Paul Harris Society club, and we don't have too many of those, are for clubs in which every dues-paying member contributes a minimum of $1,000 to the annual fund, or Polio Plus, or global grants within a Rotary year. That's relatively rare. And frankly, it's something that, for membership reasons, better to have a good Rotarian who's not going to give $1,000 every year than to make too much of a point of that. But there's some clubs that can pull that. I think there's one in Cincinnati that their dues are set high enough that they can do that. But that's like the premier civic club that has the head of P&G and things like that in it. For clubs that achieve an average of $100 in per capita giving and 100% participation, meaning everybody gives at least $25 to the foundation, through the annual fund, through Polio Plus, through approved grants or an endowment fund, then you're recognized as a 100% foundation giving club. And District 7020 does put some emphasis on this and the next ranking, which is every Rotarian every year. And that's every Rotarian every year, or ERIE, is what everybody has been talking about. And it's when you go to the district conference, that's what they lean on. That's for clubs where everybody gives at least $25, and the average has to be at least $100 per capita. And that's to the annual fund. And a lot of times people think one or the other is the same thing. 100% foundation giving is annual fund, Polio Plus fund, approved grants, or the endowment fund. Every Rotarian every year technically is annual fund only, undesignated funds. Paul Harris, any Paul Harris designation will go into 100% foundation giving. Not every Paul Harris eligible donation will go to ERIE. Where that's important for our club is that I've noticed this year, I and several other people have done something understandable, but that might trip us up here. And I didn't realize this was coming until I actually researched this talk. What a lot of clubs in Haiti do, because they don't have much money, or certainly what several people here are doing, is people wait when they've got a matching grant coming up, a global grant coming up, and they know that we need to chip in. They'll hold back their foundation contribution until they get the go to contribute toward that grant, and then they'll make their contribution toward the grant. That will get you into the 100% foundation giving club, but it will not qualify the club as every Rotarian every year, because every Rotarian every year is just the undesignated annual fund. You can be in share funds, you can donate to share for one or the other of the 6 areas of focus, but that's not contributing to a specific matching grant. That's considered something apart, which is why they have these 2 different levels. So we all need to make this month at least a $25 contribution to the annual fund in general, and that will make sure that we qualify or move us toward qualifying for every Rotarian every year.
Can I say something here, Dawn? I would like the scope to remain at sustaining club, because that's what we have always been, except for last year. All the other years we have, and we have the banners for 100% sustaining club, and I strongly suggest and would love to see that the club does not lower the bar on that.
Okay, I'm not talking about lowering the bar. I agree with you. Just for the month of November for foundation, I'm outlining what the difference between these 2 levels are. Yeah, we should all try and get our $100 per capitas to the foundation, and then the grants will be on top of that. And the other key is that we can't contribute toward the grants until Rotary Foundation says, okay, you've met all the pre-requirements. This is a valid grant. It's met all of its information that has to be turned in, and now you can start contributing toward it. If you contribute too early, it doesn't go to that grant. It just goes to the annual fund, and then it never counts against the requirement for the grant. So we really ought to leave November with everybody at least contributing something, even if it's not the full 100, and we should all be planning to try and come up with 100 before the end of the year. Ideally, do it in November so it's out of the way. Give me one moment here. Good Lord. Where am I? Zoom has disappeared. I know I'm on Zoom here somewhere. No.
It looks like we're in the Badlands of Dakota, actually.
All right. Dawn, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you give me an approximate amount of money for us to fulfill our obligation to our commitment?
For every Rotarian every year, which I know is in
No. I'm talking about our project.
Wait, the minimum for our project? Or are you asking the minimum for awards?
Project, because the awards, there are about 3 or 4, and anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, that have not submitted their reports. We're now in November, call it December.
Or just starting November?
To the Women's Center. So what is it that we can contribute or we can't contribute?
The Women's Center is a global grant, correct?
No, it's a
district grant.
District
Correct.
grant.
Thanks, Amaris. Yes, it's a district grant.
Because I don't have the paperwork on that yet. I don't think I ever got the paperwork on it. So if it's a district grant, what did we say we were going to contribute cash-wise toward that grant?
$5,000 US.
We said we'd come up with $5,000.
No, the grant said that they would grant us $5,000 US.
Okay. And did that grant say that we were going to have our own contribution toward it?
No.
Okay.
No. Else you can correct me. No.
Okay. And for district grants, we're required to be Erie. I know we're supposed to, to be eligible for a district grant, normally everybody's got to contribute something.
Yeah, we were qualified and the grant has been awarded already to us, but the money is not disbursed because there are some clubs that hasn't reported for last year as of yet.
Okay.
Right. And that's my update as well.
Okay, so for that grant, the problem is other clubs who haven't sent in their report, and we've already checked out. The district does not tell a club who's waiting which clubs are in arrears. They handle it as a district committee because otherwise people are going to be piling on to that president. And the district has decided that's not the way to go about getting grants caught up. So I know Leslie is trying to get hold of the district leadership to try and put some pressure on those two clubs to get the reports in and get things cleared up so that we can move forward. As far as I know, as soon as that's cleared up, the district will be able to give us our $5,000 and then we can move forward on that. Does that answer your question, Leslie?
I'm not satisfied, but I will work with it.
Well, okay. I'm trying to get back to Zoom where I can unshare.
You're actually signed out from Zoom right now. That's the sign out page.
The sign out page is up. What I'm trying to find is the temporarily not share. And my Zoom button at the bottom of my screen, which is normally here, has disappeared.
I tell you, for me,
That's
I'm
because
going
you're out.
$1,000 towards the education of these impregnated women or pregnant women who have given birth to a child, adolescent mothers who want to continue with their education. They can't. Well, they can, but they can't because we have declared to them from last year or year before that we would provide them with the software to, right? And the grant, because of 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 clubs have not submitted their report, I cannot disburse that to do it.
Some of us have not put a report.
And so in addition to that, although I'm not, I'm going to go to this DG's function tonight in Jamaica, and I'm going to talk to him about it, because this is not fair. You cannot have a situation where you're offering grants, right? And people have no access to it because people don't want
That's
to.
an NRI, a foundation thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the district that decides that. It's
It doesn't
RI.
matter. The fact is that people have not reported their reports on what they have done, and that is why we're not being distributed the grants. And you can,
I'm sorry, people in the district or people in our club?
People in the district.
Address it. I'm going to address it.
It's a block grant which works. It's like a giving circle, or it's group accountability for the money is what it is. It's the money is given to the group, and the whole group has to work together to find some way to make sure that the reporting and everything gets done. Now, if you don't like how the district goes about making sure that delinquents talk to them about that. Talk to the district governor and staff about that, and work with them to find a way to put enough pressure on those clubs to somehow get it resolved.
I have a function with him this evening, which I'm making a go to tonight. So I'm going to talk to him and his wife about it, because this is crap. If you have submitted a grant many months before and said, this is our project, how is it that we cannot fulfill our grant with our project? Because 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 clubs have not submitted their project report. It does not make sense to me.
I know. Leslie,
I have a feeling that Robert and Rosa are on your side, and you'll have no problem convincing them. I think they'll probably help you right away.
Yeah, Leslie.
Definitely.
But it's not.
Leslie.
It's not about Robert and Rosa.
Leslie, I know Robert and Rosa well. They are frustrated too. Believe me, they've dealt with this more than once in Haiti. The way to go at it is not to say this is an unfair program. It's to say, how can we get these reports in? Is there anything that we can do, or is there anything that we can get those reports in?
And can you help us? Right.
I incorporate, and I know how to word these things, right? But I'm just frustrated that we have this project that is so important to our club, that can make our club be like the flagship of the district. And because of 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 clubs, that's in their. Not fair.
I hear your frustration. As AG, I did a lot to run after clubs that in Haiti and outside that didn't do their reports. Because Barrett got hit with this too.
So I will represent. I will represent you guys. Don't worry.
Okay.
Right, for the couple.
We've got your back, Leslie. Don't worry.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. It will get done. But I'm just frustrated because I want us to be the club of the.
Okay. Otherwise, for foundation, because time is passing. So basically, okay, I'm off screen share. The last little thing I wanted to say or show us is that we can get a report for year to date, and we've got a goal of 3,000 right now, along with everything that got deposited October 30th. We are now, we've now got just under 2,000 in, or just under 1,500 in from all different members. Okay, the chart's hard to read, but the official total is 1,893. I would suggest that everybody go in either through the club donate button with a note that this is my annual fund donation, or directly through Rotary.org. Everybody make at least a first contribution in this month toward the annual fund. A lot of us have done Polio Plus. A lot of us have a little money tucked away for this coming projects. But we need to all at least go in and make one donation to the annual fund, because that does 2 things. It guarantees from November that we've met our ERIE requirement for the district awards, and it means you don't get slammed with $100 all at once later in the year trying to catch up right before the end of March. I know I need to do that. And I know there's another 10 of us or so that need to do that.
I'm in, and I've also made contributions before the year, and I'm in, and I just want to encourage every member to be in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
About half of us have gotten it done already. Half of us still need to get it done. I'll get mine done this weekend because I'm one of the 10 people who haven't done it yet. Everybody else, it's already November. Now's the time to at least start.
You should all show up on My Rotary, shouldn't you?
I would like
go to
to-
your My Rotary site. You should be
Howard.
able to read this for you.
Thank you, Howard. I would like to just mention one thing that I have said already once, and I haven't had any satisfactory answer for that. I mean, the participation for every year, every Rotary every year in the club is not that high. I mean, respecting every possibility. I mean, if I understand clearly, it's $25 per person. And I have been asking since I joined the club if we could not pull out a fund where it would be the club participation, putting money for every member. In other words, I'm happy to have the possibility of putting my 25 every year, and I would be more than happy to put 50 every year or 100 every year, not more than that, of course, but so that the club as a club could win the title. And isn't there a way to make participation for people who are part of our club, who certainly would like to share with us this distinction, but who for many reasons don't have the opportunity to do it in the right time? So is it possible to work that out? I mean, those of us who are a little more at ease for the moment could help. Period.
All right, Paul had his hand up, and then Amaryllis, and then Leslie. Paul, go ahead. Oops.
Actual giving. I give through Rotary International. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I give through Rotary International. I actually give about $40 a month. And I don't know how to tell how much of that goes to what. I know I've asked that $100 a year goes to Polio Plus, but I don't know how I can ensure that that is counted in the every Rotary every year and 100% sustaining. How do I figure that out? Is there somebody I can contact, or because if you look on Rotary International, it doesn't help you.
So you're doing an automatic deduction, My Rotary?
Right.
Okay, for how that program parses things out, I would have to ask some questions, because that's a very
maybe you could find out for me.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe you could find out for me. I would appreciate that.
Okay, Amaryllis, go ahead.
Yes, just to a little bit on what Henriette was saying. I would like to reiterate that the goal for the club should be $100 per person, so that we remain a sustaining, 100% sustaining club. Also, the new members have been advised on that this is the standing of the club, and we would do whatever effort so that we remain at that level. The goal had been other years, and I didn't know that this has been changed to $5, that we finish our sustaining giving during the month of November. That would be the 100 years towards the annual fund. If you, like me, give to other funds, I, for example, give to the endowment every year. That's where my direct giving is directed to. I also have to give $100 aside, just so that it counts towards the sustaining membership decision. As we learn at the last minute with Diana, Montego Bay. Like, why is it that we don't have this sustaining when we have all given? And so Lindsay checked it out for us. It's like, you lady haven't given a cent to the annual fund. I said, you gotta be joking me. So immediately we have to do it so that we can have our distinction given on that year, right and then. But I think that just to subscribe to Henriette's position, I think that we as an E-Club, we already don't do a lot of hands-on projects, and our giving should be a top priority for our club.
All right, Leslie, and then Dawn.
All right, so my real, what I want for us to is to submit a club of the month. We have done so much, meaning, you know, whatever I've done, we can submit it. And I'm suggesting that for November, and I think maybe Dawn would bring this up, is that we ride or cycle, ride or run or swim for whatever meters we want to do, and we submit that for Club of the Month. We have to do that in order to remain relevant, and that's it.
Okay, Dawn.
Okay, just one point to Henriette's question. We have for the last 3 years, and we got close in 2013-14, we've made both Erie and sustaining members 100%. So what we've been doing has been working. What Henriette is proposing is basically that we bump up the dues. If I understand right, is that we bump up the dues so that the 100 a year is automatically paid through dues, and then the club sends it in, and the treasurer can parse out to each member the allocation. We've managed to do things without going to that level because not doing it through dues gives people some flexibility and timing for when they have income coming in. That would be a future discussion if the club wants to pick up the question again. Otherwise, yes, we were talking about last week and then in talk among the committee members of what could we do for Foundation Month in November, and the Club of the Month, you're required for November to do something related to Foundation. And yes, we could say that our club in November has decided to address what happens when you're a club that can't physically get together and do a traditional fundraising project. How do you fundraise when your members can't all get together in one place and have a fish fry or something like that? And our suggestion was that if we came up with enough documentation and put it on our website so that people could point friends and all to this isn't just my idea, it's a real thing going on, could people do like the Girl Scouts and other folks and get 3 or 4 or 5 people to sponsor them for $1 a mile or $1 an hour, or however you want to do, just a little walkathon, swimathon, whatever you personally do, get even 3 or 4 people to sponsor you for $1 per and do a fundraiser, and we can even call it a pilot project. But just to say that we've done something and we are trying to work out how to make e-clubs work in the fundraising department when we can't do a traditional all get together and do an event thing. If club members think it would help to have a specific flyer and posting on a website that you can point people to because they're not sure whether or not it's a real thing or just something you've got going for your back pocket, we can put that together. I haven't got a chance to put it together this week because I'm moving to a new house this week. But that's the president's suggestion. I think it's doable. Anybody who's got a dog to walk, take the dog with you and call it a fundraiser.
Exactly.
Think of 3 or 4 friends that you can ask to
Agreed.
To do a sponsor, and you can name that you can name the Women's Education Project. You can name the that we're doing this Homeopaths Without Border, but that we're doing all the setup work. It's not just the actual pay in, and you can talk about Polio Plus and the 6 focus areas and things like that, and say that this is going to the fund.
Well, you remember there is also ROAR. There is also ROAR, and there is our butterfly storybook. I mean, we have 4 excellent initiative that
No,
we can.
Tell people about everything.
Okay, I have
One
Jackie.
moment.
Jackie wanted to say something. Jackie, go ahead.
No, the subject has sort of changed, but I just wanted to address. Well, first of all, good morning and good to see everyone.
Morning.
Hello.
Just what Harriet stated, and just to let her know that we have in the past addressed the situation of people who may not have been able to come up with the funds immediately. What we have done is supplemented that fund and asked that they pay it in later. If it's a situation where someone could not pay it in, of course, we have a fund set aside that could address their situation. But yes, so in order for us to get the to be qualified, we have submitted funds in advance to ensure that we meet the deadline for the annual giving.
Okay, and Leslie, you had your hand up.
no, I was just, Diana, are you on? Or Roger? I just wanted to talk about the November ride cycle. Because that's something that we could probably use to our advantage, raise funds.
Sorry,
I mean-
what was that? What cycle?
Sorry,
What was the-
sorry, Roger. I was just talking about when in last year or last month, Diana brought up the cycling event for November.
Oh, yes.
No problems.
Yeah, I can't remember the date of that now. And Diana's not here because I hope you saw my message. We forgot that we thought the meeting was going to start at 2 o'clock our time, which is what it usually does. But our clocks have gone back. So it actually started at 1 o'clock our time. And I didn't realize until suddenly. And she'll be back for 2 o'clock, I think. But that's too late.
Yeah. And then
I can't remember the date. The idea was that people would get sponsors, and you could have a stationary bike, and you would cycle for either a distance or a time. I mean, you could go out on the road and do it too, but the idea was if you were going to do exercise, you could do it and raise money that way. There is a specific date, which I can't remember.
Yeah, it's November. I don't know. I think it's the mid of November.
Yeah, Dawn, you're muted.
Dawn.
Yeah. Tuesday, November 28th is designated as Giving Tuesday in the United States. I don't know if that's caught on outside. I know we're a very international club.
Earlier, I'm sure it's
No,
earlier.
it's a different thing, and this idea is actually a RI-wide idea that I picked up at the convention in Atlanta. So, and Diana also loves it that we can all do something in one way we are and join the RI initiative.
Yes. And
Amaryllis, do you remember the date? There was a specific date, though, I thought, when everyone in RI was asked to do it.
It is a specific day, the day that John Hickle is riding. I think it's the 23rd or something like that, 22nd, something like that. But I know that the clubs are doing, I'm taking the entire week to accommodate their meetings, and because some clubs are taking their weekly meetings to actually do
and so I think honestly that we don't have to stick to the date. Let's stick to the month. And so if we all decide that we're going to run, ride, whatever we're going to do for whatever that time is, and let's get some foundation, some fundraising into it. So we'll send an email to everybody about what we think we should do, and you guys give us your interpretation or your suggestions. But let us use
on the day everyone is doing it in RI, just to join and represent our club worldwide.
When is everyone doing it in RI? Because you said November 2nd. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Well, we'll research it.
Yes, and that's important. So if we can coordinate it with everybody, that would be fantastic. If not, we'll do our own thing.
Okay. I'd be happy if people want a flyer. Let me know if you do, because I don't want to do something no one's going to use. I'd be happy to do some kind of flyer or something if it would help, like a little sign-up sheet, because I know sometimes people are more likely to give if it looks like what they're used to seeing.
And that's fine. I will give you something to sign up, and you can distribute it to everybody, and they can send it to whoever it is that they want to sign up.
Okay.
When you do that,
I suspect we have
when you
something
do that,
adopted.
when you do that, please make sure to have our website on it.
All right. I'm just asking if I'm
Some
really
people will
to
go.
try and put it together.
Yeah, sure. I would use it.
All right. Did you say, Leslie, did you say we already have something like that I can adapt, or do I need to put it together from scratch?
Hold on, Amaryllis has something here. Go ahead, Amaryllis, can you hear? I'm not hearing you.
You don't have to do it from scratch. It's on the brands and hang on a second. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
You gonna hear me?
Yes.
Liz, we're open.
Okay, I'm saying.
Can we meet there and then we send
The signage is on.
Right. The internet is unstable, and so persons are talking over each other, so I don't think we're in sync. Amaryllis, you had a point, and I think Leslie was saying we're almost out of time.
No, we are out of time.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Right.
I will email Leslie and Amaryllis.
The sign is already made.
Okay. And please send it to me and I'll adapt.
yes, but the point is, guys, that we need to submit something for Club of the Month. We have not done anything from July, right? So Amaryllis, myself, Dawn, since Dawn this is her month, we will meet and we will decide on what we're doing and we send it out to the club. I would ride, well, I rode 56 miles a couple weekends ago. I'll ride or run.
I'll push.
But we all just have to be dedicated to put together something that can be admirable to the Club of the Month so that we can be recognized. And that is what I want, because we deserve far more than what we're getting right now. All right, so I'm going to ask Dawn to just put us off in the test, four-way test.
Okay. Are the things that we think, say, and do, is it the truth?
Is it
the truth?
Is it fair?
Well, is it fair to all concerned?
Is it fair to all?
Is it fair to all?
Fair to all concerned.
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
And the fourth one is, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Will it
Will
be
it be beneficial to all concerned?
And it will be fun.
And it will be fun.
It is
Thank
fun.
you. Okay.
Rotary around the
The
world.
Rotary around the world.
Rotary around the world.
And
Remember, sucks.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.